Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is LouAnn and welcome to my kitchen. That coffee is a brewing, and then there's some sweet iced tea in that ice box. In reality, this is probably more like in the afternoon. So what am I making for you today? Today is Thursday, so that is a throwback recipe, which I've already made. Thursday's a throwback recipe. Anyway, today I'm going to take you on a little trip. Can you imagine way back when our grandparents, our great grandparents, they would go out to the woods. Grandpa would go out to the woods and or the fields or whatever, and he would take his gun and his good trusty rabbit dog, if he had a rabbit dog, which are beagles, basset hounds, somewhere in there, and he would go hunting. And he would go and shoot wildlife. Yes, it happened back in the day. That was how they was able to eat. Um, so he would go and butcher. He would go and he would kill a rabbit, a squirrel, groundhog, deer, of all of those natures. And then he would bring it back, and it was either, I think it was him that butchered, cleaned the meat that he brought back home to eat. It in some instances it was the wife to do that. So any of you women, would you be able to clean a squirrel, clean a rabbit, clean a deer, um, or anything else, turkey, that your husband, significant other, whatever, were to, you know, be able to put meat on the table? So today's recipe will be a throwback to that time. We are going to have fried rabbit. Now, this is not a wild rabbit. This is a rabbit that I raised, because that's just something that we do here on my farm, is we raise rabbit. So let me turn the camera around and let me show you how to make fried rabbit. Of course, the husband would go out and he would chop wood. Sometimes, if the husband was gone for a while, it would be the housewife that would go out and split the wood to get the wood stove up and running so she could fix the meals, morning, lunch, and supper. Sometimes it was mainly supper, um, because, she would gather the eggs. They would have their eggs in the morning. If they had chickens, for the biggest part of the time, they did have chickens. Um, but this recipe is something that they would have normally on any given night, whenever there was meat available and that the husband had a good luck in hunting. So let's get on to cooking. So our grandmas and grannies would just use flour, some salt, some pepper, and then they'd roll the rabbit in the flour mixture and put it in a hot cast iron skillet, with bacon grease. I don't have bacon grease. I have sausage grease, so I'm going to cook it in that. So our grandmas and grandpas, grandmas, pretty much, they would do this with chicken as well. Just add salt, pepper to flour. And they always had salt, way back then, because that was how sometimes they do preserve their meat. And a lot of times they would preserve the hides as well and sell them to get extra money to buy their flour, their salt. They would go and they would do all kinds of stuff like that. And they wouldn't just eat rabbit and squirrels. If more or less they would have chickens, and if they feel like cooking a chicken, this is how they did it. Unless they made a stew in chicken, which there are some out there like that. But this is So I think Grandpa did a good job of catching these rabbits. Hint, hint. In other words, we did a good job in raising these rabbits. So we just want to fry these until they're golden brown. I did turn them, but that's all we need to do is fry them until they're golden brown. And then supper will be ready. Having us farm fresh rabbit. And this is kind of a farm to table recipe, at least this part of it. So I'm going to finish cooking this and I'll show you what it looks like when it gets done.